All right, good morning, Mike and Fani. My guest this morning, Professor Fani Terblanche, and our resident mining expert, Mike Woodall. Welcome. We're going to be talking this morning about optimization and specifically Elytica. Fani, so I'm going to hand straight over to you. Why don't you quickly just introduce yourself, a bit of background, and what Elytica is about?
Right, thank you, MP. I'm an associate professor in the School of Industrial Engineering at Northwest University, and my field of research is optimization. And I've spent a couple of years working on various optimization projects in various industries. And Elytica was established out of the need to provide optimization as a service to various industries.
Excellent, and that's one of the reasons why the partnership was born. Mike, so if I can turn to you, maybe just before I do that, when we talk about optimization, it's not as if it's one thing. What are some of the kinds of optimization problems that Elytica tries to solve?
So when you talk about optimization, there is a very specific objective or a goal that you would like to achieve. For instance, in a mining context, the measure of success would be profitability, for instance, the maximization of net present value. And what we provide as a service is the ability to capture the mining business within a mathematical construct and be able to solve that mathematical construct to provide answers to specific questions, business-related questions.
And this is going to be offered as a service, so that means that anyone with the right data and the right problem can come to you, and the platform is then able to solve that mathematical problem.
That's exactly true. So the key or the success of any optimization exercise relies on appropriate data, data that is clean and so data that allows us to extract the necessary information to be able to get to the business question or the answer to the business question.
Mike, of course, yes, data, access to data is key. MineRP knows that, but also you've got to apply mining knowledge to the problem, right? So in building these models and so on, what are some of the real mining problems we are trying to solve here?
Okay, so we have clients that we've worked with, and I've known Fani for nearly 20 years, and we've tackled optimization over that period of time for clients. For example, trying to maximize the NPV of a life of mine plan. So that's by monthly figures for the 20-year period, mindful of the mining rules in terms of sequence and dependencies, and also the constraints that you have. So you can only hoist or tram so much at any given time. So we've done several of those exercises. We did another interesting one where there were several shafts able to service a given piece of ground. And the client wanted to know, should I keep them all open? When should I close them? What's the best tramming routes? When and where should I spend my capex? So we ask good, solid business questions.
So the math can be applied to solve problems for a specific operation, but also for a portfolio of assets, right?
That's correct, yeah. So
just a scale up of a single mine problem.
And then the complexity, of course, increases significantly, I would assume.
It does, but I think that's also part of what we want to achieve as an optimization service provider, is to deal with the complexities so that our clients don't have to deal with them. On the client level, we just want to focus on formulating the problem and getting to solutions to specific business questions. Leave the complexities then to the Elytica platform.
So that word, of course, is a loaded word, platform. You talk about a platform instead of an optimization application or a tool or whatever. Why do you talk about Elytica as a platform?
So I think the word platform is more descriptive of what we bring together that allows us to provide optimization as a service. We bring together data, we bring together technology, mathematics, and the platform is a place where we can really integrate all of that to be able to solve the business problem.
And if you say technology, it's not as if you building your own math engines and all those things all by your lonesome self, right? You can plug in any variety of such capabilities onto your platform.
Yes, so that's how we also add value to the client, is to be technology agnostic. We don't only use specific solvers, mathematical solvers. We can make use of a variety, and some solvers are more equipped to deal with specific problems. So depending on the problem description or the characteristics of the problem, we may decide on employing very specific solvers. But yes, so to answer your questions, we don't focus on algorithm development, rather on harnessing the capabilities that are already there in the market.
So Mike, in MineRP, we're all about data. But it's so this relationship would be one where we provision data, get some optimization services, and then what do we do with that data again after that?
Well, once you've got the data, it is available for a whole range of analytical approaches. And that for me is the big change to what it was like 20 years ago. If it was easy, we'd have done it 20 years ago. The single biggest hurdle was access to the data. But once you've got it, then there's a whole range of analytical tools can be brought to bear.
And of course, then once once the problem has been solved, that is another data set, which we can then consume again and distribute for consumption in the various business processes which need that data. Right?
I'll give you some examples of two things. One, when Finey gives us a solution back, which is, let's say, an optimized schedule, immediately we also have sufficient graphs to prove that we have stuck to the mining rules and that we have kept to all the constraints. And when we do the same kind of analytical work on a client's life of mine plan, for example, we find places where those constraints are broken without people realizing it. The other one is when this data comes back to us as a schedule, MineRP can animate that schedule. And so up on the screen, we can see the schedule as it was and an optimized one. And you run them in parallel, and a mining guy will spot any faulty logic.
Yeah, okay. So, okay, for Fani, maybe in closing, you talked about this being available as a service. So that means that, yes, it's going to be available to the MineRP platform, of course, which will provide and consume that data eventually, but also to any other peoples or parties that would require such optimization services, right?
That's correct. So the process that we follow to create mathematical models is very similar for different industries. So we have certain building blocks that we can reuse to easily formulate other optimization problems. And the fact that we don't rely on specific solver technology then allows us to separate the model from the solver. Underlying solvers stay the same, underlying technology stay the same, but we actually are solving a different problem.
And we are, you're not only aiming at solving forward-looking scheduling type problems, but also real-time orchestration problems. Right?
That's
Am I
correct.
right?
So it all depends on the problem context. And if we are saying we're solving short interval control type of problems, then the data should match the problem description. And in terms of computational efficiency, that's where we will mostly depend on the underlying technology.
Okay. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure. Thank you for informing us, and we're looking forward to the launch of the Elytica service platform early, well, I understand correctly, then it'll be Q1 next year, 2020. Hope it'll be a great year and we'll solve some real mining problems.